our speaker is no stranger to Launchpad Job Club. He is our longest tenured board member. So Marc Miller is an author. He is a rabid career changer and has leveraged all of that to becoming an expert on reinventing oneself. And he has spoken many times about that, about changing careers, about transferring your skills and feeling comfortable doing that. And today, because of the major shifts in LinkedIn, we have called on him for another area of expertise, and that is the major changes that are happening on LinkedIn. We use LinkedIn in the job search so extensively. The two primary functions that we use LinkedIn for, or advise you to use LinkedIn for, is number one, connecting with recruiters. We tell you to connect with all the recruiters from every single company that you want to work for. So you have your major 10 or 20 companies that you want to work for, and you go into LinkedIn and you connect with all those recruiters, so when they are looking for talent, you're at the top of the list. So if you are not sure exactly how to do that, Marc's going to explain that. The other major use that I like to use LinkedIn for is to reconnect with people that you worked with before. And so you used to be very easy to go into LinkedIn, put in a company where you worked for 10 years ago, 15 years ago, put in the keyword of the department where you worked, and see if you can find people that you worked with in the past, reconnect with them through LinkedIn, and then see where they're working now, check those websites, or talk to those folks about, you worked with me, you know me, I'm trying to, I'm looking for a position in this, and lots of times they'll say, yeah, we've got one coming up. It's not posted yet, but sure, I'd love to recommend you. And so you can see where people are now and connect. So those particular functions and many more are going to be explained to us by our good friend, Marc Miller.
Again, my name is Marc Miller. Who's heard me speak before? Cool. Normally I've been accused of knowing everybody in Austin. I've only been in Austin for 39 years now. I've been through 22 years with IBM, 2 successful tech startups. In between the 2 startups, I taught high school math, and I did a year stint at the Jewish Community Center as a corporate fundraiser. As I like to say, being a non-Jew, being the face of a Jewish organization is interesting. What Kathy asked me to do was kind of give you a rundown of the new LinkedIn interface. The first thing I want to explain is, why is LinkedIn doing this? If you looked at the various interfaces between your iPad, your iPhone, on the browser, on an Android device, they all look totally, completely frickin' different. And what they chose to do was to make them all look like the mobile app. And so one of the things you've seen on the mobile platform is the fact that they've moved it to multiple apps. So for example, Groups is a separate app. Salary is a separate app. There are all these other separate apps on. So what they're trying to do is get it all look like the mobile. Unfortunately, parts of the mobile platform is brain dead. So when they rolled it out, and they've been rolling out in phases, people are really pissed off, particularly recruiters. And they've been slowly fixing it. So a week ago, on March 1st, I headed off to Mexico to San Miguel de Allende. One of the things I'm looking at doing is moving out of the country. And I looked at it and said, well, maybe I'll do some slides while I'm gone. And I pulled it up yesterday, and I did not do that. I got lazy. And I looked at yesterday, and they changed some stuff. In fact, they changed some significant things in search for the better. So it's good I didn't create any slides. So what I thought I would do is walk you through the interface. Now, I have the lowest version of premium you can buy. I have a version of premium that you can't even get anymore. It's under $240 a year. and they grandfather me in. So what I want to hear from you is, what do you see here? If you have the free version, what do you see? Because I don't know. And that's how you can help me. Yes, sir.
I'm saying if you want to talk to a recruiter, you can't send them a direct email.
Well, I'm going to tell you something different. Okay, number one, how many of you guys have email Hunter? Hunter.io. If you don't, you should get it. So, let's see if I can have it up here. Hunter.io is a free Chrome plugin. And it will tell you whether you can find, it will tell you someone's email address. So if I go in LinkedIn right now, and I think I did, Paul Dixie yesterday. Here. This guy is Global Channel Manager at GSK. Notice I got this little Hunter button. If I say, click that Hunter button, it will tell me that his email address is very likely paul.dixie@gsk.com with a 95% confidence. You're going to find some people who live on LinkedIn, even some recruiters. If you send them an email, they don't see it. So there are two plugins. There's this one, and I find this is the one I use primarily. The other one's called Profit. And it tends to work better with Twitter and some of the other platforms. But it will give you...
Profit spelled how?
I believe it's PR. I think it's, it is... Hold on a second. Clearbit. I believe it's like Profit. But, P-R-O-P-H-E-T,
Okay.
like a profit.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you a number of plugins as we go along that you're going to find very helpful. The ones I primarily use is Hunter and something called Reportative. And this is not what I plan to talk about, but it's worthwhile talking about. If I bring up my Gmail, and you can't see it but if I come in here and let's see, Robert Levy, let's better yet, let's do a compose. If I scroll over, what it will do, it's a Chrome plugin, and what it will do is, based on that email address, it will pull up their LinkedIn profile within Gmail. So if you send me something and he doesn't have he's a bad boy, he has no picture on his profile. But what this does is, if you have a Gmail account, and by the way, marc@careerpivot.com is a Gmail account. And I have a paid Gmail account. I pay $4.91 a month. My wife, who has lotusandbodyandheart.com, that's also a Gmail account. And it's a free Gmail account. So you can have your own domain and host it on Gmail for free. And have your own, like I have marc-miller.me. If I wanted to, I could have an email account, free email account as marc@marc-miller.me. So the point here is, and this is something called Reportative. And so what I commonly do, if someone emails me from my website, I just go over here and click on LinkedIn, and it pulls up his LinkedIn profile. That's cool. It saves me a ton of time. Because what I will very commonly do, if someone emails me and I want to respond back, I will send them, number one, a connection request immediately and say, by the way, you emailed me. I'm going to connect. Oh, by the way, I'm also sending you an email with a link to my calendar. And it says if they don't get the email, they know to look in their spam filter. Okay? So I do both. I email them and send them a connection request, and I know, and I'll tell, in each one I tell them I'm doing the other one. And I get a pretty good response rate from that. So, let's go back to...
Mark, you have a question?
Sure.
Could you spell, I can't hear whether it's reportive, reported.
Good question. It is Rapportive. Now, by the way, there are a number of other competitors to Rapportive, and I complained that they didn't do the same thing that Rapportive does, and they all responded back, oh, Rapportive's owned by LinkedIn now. They have connectivity inside of LinkedIn much better than anybody else does. Isn't that strange?
By Microsoft.
Yeah.
They are owned by Microsoft.
Yes. Yeah, this is one of the things we've seen with LinkedIn. We've seen it with Facebook. As soon as someone is deemed a competitor to one of those platforms, they lop them off at the API level.
Things break.
Yes. Kind of like what Microsoft used to do. Geez, isn't that strange? Okay, let's go back. So, first thing, there's your home page. First thing you're probably wondering is, how the hell do I get to my profile? Used to be there was a nice little menu thing there with your profile. Well, how do you get to it then? Well, it's actually, see my pretty picture up there? By the way, that is, I come over here and click on it, and it now brings me to my profile. And I never started my video, so I'm going to start my video here. Okay, so we're on our profile. This relatively has not changed. Each section has the little pencil. If you want to edit it, you can edit it. Notice that the 3 dots, beware, the 3 dots mean something in every single different menu. Do not assume you understand what the 3 dots means. Okay? As you scroll down, each section has the neat little pencil. Notice that you can also grab stuff and move them around. And what did I just do? I moved something around. I'll go back and...
Moved your work history.
No, my work history is still there. Oh, I know. I moved design specialist down below. Oops. There we go. Oh, gosh. Okay. So, really not a whole lot has changed in your profile. So let's go back to home. Also, who's viewed your profile? Now, they used to give you all kinds of how your profile ranked, you know, how you were doing against other people. It took all that away. There's an article in their help that says not enough people are using it, and so we're just going to take it away and focus on those things.
Hey, Mark,
Yes.
you asked what we see differently.
Yes.
When I go on my mobile app to try to see who's looked at me, it says try premium for free.
Okay.
So it must be some free trial to get access to see what that would provide.
Okay. So basically, you can't Now, do you display, when someone looks at your profile, do they see what you're setting on that?
I don't know.
Okay, I'll talk about that next. Because by the way, if you do not have, when someone looks at your profile, if it shows up on there that says, oh, they're anonymous, if you don't show who you are, they'll block you. They don't like that. So notice I get all these people here. It tells me 766 profile viewers, in the past 90 days. The rule of thumb I used to hear was you needed 1,200 to 1,300 profile views over 3 months to get a job. By the way, that's a rule of thumb. So I'll use the example. I did a blog post here recently on how many connections is enough connections. And I use it in 3 different views. One, I've been working with a guy who's got a PhD in mathematics. He's in his late 30s, and he kind of ran his educational gauntlet all the way to the end, and he then went, WTF, what now? He wasn't qualified to do anything. He picked a very, very narrow niche in pharmacogenomics, which is the modeling of drugs. In his case, he probably needed about 200 connections. It's a narrow niche. There are only about 3,000 people in the whole country that do that stuff. So a couple hundred's fine. If you are in a, if you're a Java programmer, you're fairly general in a big industry, you're probably looking at 400, 500, 600 is probably enough. In my case, I work worldwide. The more is better. I got about 4,600 connections. Okay? And so one of the things you're going to look at is, and again, pay attention to who's looking at your profile and why. What organizations are looking at. And you should be going in, if you have premium, who's looking at my profile? Because by the way, one of the things that you want to find for your next job, you want to find people who look, taste, and smell like you. I.e., I use the example, age, qualifications, gender, people who look like you who are doing the kind of job you want to do. And where do they work? Because that's the place that they're most likely going to hire you. I've got a client up in Virginia. She came out of the world nonprofit PR world, and she went into a Ruby on Rails boot camp, remaking herself as a programmer. And I've had her go look for, in her geography, looking for all the people who have Ruby on Rails in their profile, and look for people who look, taste, and smell like her. Primarily, we're looking for anybody who's over 50. And the only way you can tell that is by looking at their pictures. And the goal there was, we were looking for some people over 50 who had Ruby on Rails, and you know where all of them were working? Government agencies.
Yeah.
Fair hiring. So what does that tell you? She should be targeting government agencies. Right. So, while I'm talking about that, if I come up here to and I go under my security and privacy settings, and let's see, where is that? It's, you remember where it is, about what you appear when you're, oh. There. Not that.
On the top, where it says privacy.
Ah, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes. There it is. So the point here is, what do people see when you've looked at your profile? Do they see your name and headline? Do Do you give a hint to who you are, or do you stay anonymous? If you go in private mode, you're not going to see anybody who looks at your profile. So let's go back. You know what? It's probably, my guess is it's wide open. So in other words, they don't, they want you. Now, by the way, when I go into someone's LinkedIn profile, I want them to know I looked at their LinkedIn profile. And one of the things you can do is, if you closely monitor this, is you can go look at people's LinkedIn profiles and wait for them to look back. And when they look back, send them a connection request and say, hey, I saw you connect to I saw you looked at my profile. Can we talk? Can we have a short phone call? And oh, by the way, accept this connection. So, okay. You also see who's viewed your posts. And this is everything from your articles to your posts to all your activity. Okay, so let's move on to my network. Oops. Okay. In here, you'll see all the people who sent you connection requests. You notice I've got a whole bunch of people who are stacked up. And by the way, when someone sends me a connection request, should see, when you want to send a connection request, only do it from the person's profile. Because it will force you to say, and to add a message. It's going to say, by the way, if you want, and I'll do this in a second, it's going to force you to say, you need to put a message in. Okay? If you do it from anywhere else, it'll just pop off the generic. So notice over here, I've got my connections. I have 4,644. By the way, when someone sends me in a connection request, the first thing I do is I accept it and then send them a message saying, hi, I just accepted your invitation to connect. How'd you find me? About 75, 80% of the time they respond. And once you, like I'm in an article, the 50 people you should follow on LinkedIn, no matter the industry. It's written by somebody really obscure. But if you search on the top people to follow on LinkedIn, that article shows up. So I get connection requests all the time. And I found that article because I said, how'd you find me? Oh, I found you in this article. Well, I didn't know that existed. Right? So if we go look at your connections, you can sort them in a relatively limited way. Recently added first name, last name. That's it. You used to be able to send a message to up to 50 people at a time. That's gone. You can, if you want, you can send a message, and we'll show that in messaging, but you have to type them all out and do them one at a time. In other words, it's real hard to do email marketing kind of stuff from LinkedIn. I'll use the example. When I got my first article on Forbes, I sent an email, a LinkedIn email to every connection I had to say, please go out to that article and share it. Cause the article to go viral. I have no problem, pimping myself. And you can't do that anymore. Sorry, you can't do that. So the one thing I wanted you to notice was also, again, the 3 dots. Notice in this case it says remove connection. So LinkedIn is very good at this. They make removing a connection really hard to find. Okay? They don't want you ever removing a connection. By the way, you can block connections too. My old boss did that to me. He's blocked me on Facebook. He hates me. I don't know. He was just an unethical asshole. And I've written about him generically on my blog. Yeah. Well, when someone tells you to go hire the CEO's brother, who's unqualified, in the middle of a recession, and we're going to move him here, I kind of gave him the single finger salute, and I quit 3 months later. Okay, so that's your connections. You can search your connections. One of the things they did remove, and I'll show you in the profile, you used to be able to go into someone you're connected to and search their connections. That's gone. That sucks. Because very often what I'm doing is, hey, Rocket here. He's connected to someone. I want to see if he's connected to somebody. So I go to his profile and I search for, I want to go in and search to see whether you're connected, and I can't do that because you've got a lot of connections, right? If they have 50 connections, it's easy. If you've got probably 1,200, yeah. Yep.
So that's maybe why when you look at someone and it says you have 3 connections in common.
Yes.
Before you put in there the pointer and the mouse, and then you can see who are they. But now you can.
Right. Okay. What she was asking and saying is before you could actually see who was in common, and now it's a lot more difficult. And by the way, that probably will change because the recruiters are really pissed off about that. When this first happened, when the change of first occurred, I got on a little forum that the product manager had put out saying, I want feedback. And I would get a message, an email every time someone commented. I was getting one a minute. Yes, ma'am.
On my mobile version, I do have the means of seeing my connections.
Yes, you just can't search them.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
If someone has 1,000 connections and you want to find out, are they connected to somebody else? It's not common connections. You just want to know. I'm interested in to see whether you're connected to, like, for example, I'm working with a client right now to penetrate Keller Williams. Are they connected to the head of HR at Keller Williams? Do they know that person? You can't search on that anymore.
Good friend of Keller Williams, by the way, so look at my connections.
Okay. Well, rather interesting. I have a client who wanted to get into Keller Williams. I went to the Keller Williams website, and their job board at the bottom, it said, powered by CareerPlug. Well, the CEO of CareerPlug is somebody I know because I got him his very first client, State Farm, 10 years ago. Clint owes me. He introduced me into the head of HR for Keller Williams, who I've now had my client meet all kinds of people. It hasn't turned into a job yet. So
Marc,
yes.
Is there a paid version where you can see the connections of the connections?
I don't think so.
No, I have a paid version.
I have paid version, I can't. So, okay. So that's my network. Let's go over to messaging. Number one, messaging has changed. Number one, you can sort your messages, but if I go in here to write a message, oops, and I want, to write something to Kathy, in other words, I have to start typing it in. In the old days, I could go through my connections and go click, 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 go through. Can't do that anymore. The other one that people have you seen your messages where you'll get you'll get one message, but it'll come as 4 messages? Yeah. What that is, again, let's go pick Kathy, down to this little dot, dot, dot. If it's set, then the default is press enter, will send the message. The idea is you can make this look like your little AOL texting. In other words, you can text stuff in single lines, or you can do this like email. And this is where sometimes people don't know this is set. And again, every time you see a dot, 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 go see what it is. Because you're noticing it's something different every place. This is don't assume. In fact, I have a chapter in my next book, which is coming out here in another month or so, called MSU Syndrome. Make stuff up. So I'll tell you a funny story. I have a client up in the Northeast. She's looking for a multi-channel marketing position. She applied for a job at GSK, and nothing happened. She hadn't heard from anybody, and she was getting frustrated. I must not get it. So she called up a friend at GSK, who then walked into the hiring manager and said, "Yeah, we never got a resume." As it turns out, GSK has a crappy applicant tracking system. And apparently it's known well throughout the industry. She made stuff up. As soon as she called, they looked at her resume, and she had an interview yesterday. She had a phone interview, and then the hiring manager says, "Yeah, the next step is I'll create a short list." The guy emailed her, the hiring manager emailed her contact there and said, "Oh yeah, she's going to be in my short list." That all happened in less than 12 hours. And all because she applied and nothing happened.
I used to be able to go into my messages, and one of the options was people that I had invited, and I don't have that option anymore.
Nope.
Do you have it on the paid one? Because I don't pay.
Yeah, no, well, you talking about the messages?
Yeah, I could go into
I-
messages and it would say, here are the people that you've invited who have not responded yet or whatever.
Yes, hold on to that.
Okay.
You bring up a good point. Yes, you can do that. Where is it? Here we are. I clicked, what I did was, you bring up a good point. Manage under received invitations. I can click on manage all, and then I can see the ones I've sent.
I don't have received invitations.
You don't have received invitations?
I don't think so.
I would go look, because
Under messages, is that where you found that?
no, it's under my network.
Oh, it's under my network. Okay, see, I wouldn't have thought of that.
So under my network, notice this manage all.
Okay.
Click on that. That's received, but that's how you're going to get both the sent and the received.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
Yep. Now I know. Thank you.
Okay? Again, it's non-intuitive. We don't want to get logical here. So that's the messaging. Oh, and by the way, you can attach an image or an attachment. And I think you could do that before, but I'm not sure. Okay. So let's move over. Let's go talk about jobs. Now, it's funny. I came in here and I said, I have applied job? I've worked for myself for the last 6 years. So let's click on that.
So you clicked on jobs?
Well, it says I had one application in from 11 years ago. That would have been 2006. I joined January of 2006. By the way, that's about the time I started coming to Job Club, to Launchpad. So I went, oh. And I was going to delete the application, and I said, nah, I'm going to leave it out there. It's a good demonstration. Stuff stays out forever. By the way, there's a very good book called The Reputation Economy. And one of the things the guy talks about in the book is the fact that we have reached the point where it is more expensive to delete data than to simply add more storage. So, if you think you're deleting stuff, you're probably not. And the other piece is big data is getting good enough that everyone's collecting data on you. And if you think data is not being collected on you, and the idea is they may not use it today. But if you go down to, Big Boy's hamburger and order a giant hamburger, someday that may affect your medical insurance. Because everything's being collected.
They don't even know how to use it. They can collect it.
They can collect it, and they may eventually use it.
Last 2 to 3 years, they say 90% of the data we have has been collected because now they know how to store it.
Yes.
That's where all these data science jobs are coming from. They're trying to get people who are trying to figure out how to ask the questions, what questions they can get out of the data, and what questions they have to ask to the business and connect the two.
Yes.
That's a 5 or a 10-year project.
So give you an idea, back in the late 90s, I worked for IBM, and I worked on the IBM SP2, and I was in a briefing center, and one of the things we discovered was that was the very beginning of big data. And back then, they were the beginning of the rewards cards. And one of the things that you will see in every store now, because of that time, is they saw patterns. If you bought diapers, you also bought beer. So you will see in just about every store that the diaper aisle is near the liquor section. It's true. Because they could look at, that was back during the time when they first started collecting all the transaction purchases, and that's when we all got a little rewards card. I always found it funny because I used my mom's Randall's card. My mom at the time was 84 or 85, so they found some really strange buying patterns for an 85-year-old woman. Okay, so if you're looking for jobs, this is the place where you can come in, and it will tell you, recommend jobs to you. I haven't got. The one thing here is there is a separate app, which we're going to talk about in a second, called LinkedIn Salary. So let's go look at notifications. Okay, you used to have up on the top of your home window little things like, Jimmy went back to work, or he has a 5th year anniversary, or he's got a new job, or, right? That's gone. It's in here, buried. I personally found that useful because I wanted to see I really don't care if you've been working for someplace for 10 years, but I do want to know when you've gone back to work or you've taken a new job. Why? If someone's taking a new job at some place that I have a client who's interested in, I want to know that I know somebody there. That's gone. But you can see, like here, Donna Benson Chan. By the way, she runs Impact Austin, a Job Club member. And they have birthdays. Someone's posted stuff. You can see all these people have viewed my profile. And the last thing is, I'll come back here, is my profile and how. But over here at work is now a whole bunch of, these are all the separate apps that are on your mobile app, on your mobile platform. So groups, yeah, groups is the only one that you used to find in your pull down. That's now moved over to be a mobile app. Now, who's used the who has a premium? Okay, have you used Learning yet? It's lynda.com, and my understanding is if you have a premium membership, you have full access to the entire. There's a lot of stuff there.
Yes, it is true.
Yep.
Yeah, I use it all the time.
That's something to really sit down, and what I would recommend, and I just realized this, and I'm going to go do this. I'm going to carve out about half hour a day, probably first thing in the morning, just to sit and start going through stuff. There's a lot of stuff out there. Quality, some of it's good, some of it. I come from an instructional design background. I find a lot of these folks who try and take stand-up courses and move them into online, the technical term is they suck. The one I was just looking at on salary negotiation was actually very good. It was very professionally done. One of the things you'll find with videos that you can tell that they've done a very good job is when they start switching every 15 seconds or so and changing the media. Because that's one way to online, we get bored quickly. I'll use myself as an example. I have bright shiny object syndrome. I have learned to stop distractions when I'm doing stuff like that. And so, but if you come in here, let's go into learning. If you've got, I've plugged in a couple things, skills I'm interested in, so I can go edit my skills. I started playing with this yesterday. I have not yet figured it out. Because I was trying to plug in, social media marketing, and there it popped in, but then it took something else, so I don't know. And I'm currently in progress negotiating your salary. That's not bad. So there's post a job you don't care, groups. These are very much.
My groups.
Yep, my groups.
What about finding recruiters?
Okay, I'm gonna get into search. Okay, so next, let's go down to salary. So, who has a job they're interested in what the salary would be?
Project manager.
Project manager. Geez, I find that hard to believe anybody in here would want to be. And we want to do Austin. First, let's see if it's different for Austin, Texas versus Austin, Texas area. So the median salary is $80,000, range, total compensation. Let's hear. I'm guessing most people that's when the salary goes up. Now let's rather than Austin, Texas area, notice $97,000 for Austin, Texas. Let's go to 15 years. Same. So again, by the way, you'll find something similar on the Indeed site. Indeed has a very good, Indeed asks a lot of people about what their salaries are. So this is something, when you're going to go and negotiate, you're at least armed with a ballpark figure. And by the way, always ask higher than what it says. This is one of the things, when you charge more, you are deemed as being more valuable. It's kind of like the old days. My wife's a massage therapist. Back in the 90s, when she would raise her prices, she got more clients. Okay? So that's salary. Go explore that. There is, by the way, lookup allows you to look up for other people in the business that you're currently working in. I found it very useful. SlideShare, and the last one is ProFinder. ProFinder allows you to find freelancers to help you. And so if I wanted to find, let's use an example, career coach. It would give you a little fill out the menu, and it would send out to every career, it would send out a little probe to every career coach who is in your geographic area. In the case here, it's probably Texas. And two, it would send out to every career coach who is a first or second degree connection. That's one reason why I have lots of connections. Now, my problem with this is it only sends me from people in Texas. I have clients in Germany, UK, Singapore. So if you, for example, you want to find a resume writer or, more importantly, a graphic artist, you want someone to do a logo for you, you want someone to do a graphic for you, this is one place you can go find it.
Thank you.
What?
Thank you.
But it will be geographic based versus if you go to Fiverr or Upworks. Personally, I find this, I was one of their beta users, and I find it kind of useless. Because of a lot of the things we do today is are location independent.
So I have a friend starting a copywriting business.
Yep.
How would she become one of the possibilities that pops up in the search result?
She would have to come in here and register.
Give the question.
Oh, and she says a friend of her wants to be a copywriter. So underneath here, you'd have to register as, and one of those is copywriting.
Okay.
Now, goodness and badness of this, as a copywriter, like I just had somebody do copywriting in my book. She happens to be here in town, but she can be anywhere.
Right. So she'd be limited.
Right? What I would more likely do is go look at Upworks. Upworks.
Okay.
That's a freelance. Upworks is the merger of Olance and eDesk, which is both freelance sites. And if you want, I'll talk to you about how to kind of navigate that. By the way, my blog posts next week are the 3 technologies that let you work from anywhere easily. I was in Mexico last week, and it was Skype, Dropbox, and Google Drive, and the third one is interesting, is Google Translate. Google Translate is cool. You can speak into it and it'll translate it. You can take a picture, you can hold it up to a sign and it will translate it for you with the camera. I've been in 40 different countries. I've got so many little language dictionaries, and I didn't need to carry one of them.
Can we get to search?
Sure, yep, let's get to search. How am I doing for time?
Well, we're late, but we don't
Okay.
have,
Okay.
we don't have Toastmasters, so.
Okay, so let's go to search. And this is where stuff changed this last week. So there is your little search box, right? And you say, where's my advanced search? What you have to do is hit enter. Okay? It's that simple. Before you had a little thing that said advanced search. Now you wanted to go to the search box and just hit enter. Now what's new is this stuff on the right side.
Yeah, and I have some problems with that.
Okay. So what problems do you have with it?
I figured out how to do like recruiter company.
Yep.
I can do that, but when I try to do like people who worked for a company in the past. I'm trying to get past coworkers.
Yes.
And when I start putting stuff in, the stuff I put in first goes away. I have a hard time getting everything to stay there at the same time.
Yes, what happens is when you do a search, and you do one search, and then you want to refine it, he'll screw you up. So you have to constantly be re-entering.
Yeah.
Which is, and my suspicion is they're going to fix that.
Okay. So show everybody how to do
Okay.
recruiters with a certain company, and then show them how to do past coworkers.
Okay, so here we are. Let's go IBM. Oops. And notice it just immediately pops in and says IBM. It doesn't wait. Then, oh, it doesn't have title on here.
No, I go up in the search box and I put in
Yes,
recruiter
okay.
or talent or
So
human.
I've got, and I'll post these in the LinkedIn. In the.
Now, what did you just check to get that?
It's in the help.
There's something that says help?
Hold on a second. Let me close some windows down here. Yeah, it's called Help Center. Right here. And once you go into Help Center, you can search on stuff.
Okay. So you got help from just there's a thing up at the top that says help?
Well, it's interesting. This used to pop up immediately. This when they first came out, and now I had to go into Help Center and search for it. I will post 2 of these on both the Launchpad Facebook group and the LinkedIn group. I'll post a link to this. There are 2 help pages. So the first one is you can search. Okay, who's familiar with Boolean search? Okay, you should learn Boolean search. Why? Because this is how recruiters find people.
It's also a great tech skill if you need computers.
Yes. I learned SQL, structured query language, 1984.
It's okay. You didn't start building.
And I was not fresh out of college. This is old stuff.
They made it in the 60s.
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta move on.
So you can search on first name, last name, title, company, and school. So if I want to, for example, let's go back to my search. If I want, I can type into title, and I can type in recruiter. And search. So here are all my recruiter buddies. Now let's only look at recruiters at Indeed. And here are all my connections. Well, I've got what? And I only want first degree, not first and second. I have 1. By the way, I met her at the recruiting roundup about a month ago.
Okay, so if you want to, when I do a search, I figured out, this I figured out. So I go in, I don't put title, I put recruiter or talent or human, and then I put the company name up there. And let's not use a company that's there, let's use a company
Yeah.
that's not there. So then I have to go in and add a company, and then I have to go in and add a city. And usually I can do that.
Yep. So, hold on a
But-
second. I gotta make sure.
And I put current company, but then when I try to do past, that's
Yes.
the problem.
Yep.
Okay.
So.
And I don't want people that I'm already connected to necessarily, because I want to connect with them. So I don't ever mention that.
So here we are. I'm doing a search on recruiter. And by the way, notice that I took The or, and I put title each time.
But you don't have to do that.
I think you do. I saw an article that was complaining the fact that if you do title, name, or title, recruiter, or HR, or that it, by Boolean logic, it should work, but it doesn't.
See, I don't even put title. I just put search and I just put
If you just put recruiter, it's
recruiter or talent or human, and I get those people.
but it'll find it anywhere in the profile, not just in the title field.
Oh, okay.
So if they were a recruiter in past lives and not currently,
Right, that's what you don't have. You
Right.
don't have that now, too.
so that's where you put
Okay.
the title in. Now,
And
if I don't want first, I just want people who I'm not connected to, I eliminate that. And notice it's keep on doing these lookups each time. And I say only want second and third degree connections.
Okay.
So if you do not use the keywords, it will only, in other words, if I typed in title : recruiter versus just typing in recruiter, when you type in recruiter, it's looking through the entire profile.
Okay.
And what I very often want is someone who, I want to know who's a recruiter today. I want their current title. Now, this is not as nice as it used to be because you used to have all the nice little drop-down boxes. One of the things that used to be able to say, current, not past,
Right.
right? There were a bunch of them that, and
Okay, so click on Austin, and then let's put in a new company. Let's put in GM or something.
Okay.
And then see what happens.
okay, so let's go Austin. And then let's do General Motors, GM.
So you didn't add the company, see where it says current company down here on the right? You've got that checked still?
Yes,
Is that
that's
going to
true.
be confusing?
Yep, that's going to be confusing.
Okay.
Thank you. So, by the way, if I plug in first degree, I actually know. Oh. Interesting. Why did it pull up Johnny Chang? Austin, probably because I need to, let's go Ed. Right.
In your first line, though, you don't need to add an and after the word talent.
Ah,
So it's Boolean.
it is?
I was just going to ask that.
Okay, so let's do this. Well, hold on a second.
By the way, the syntax might be slightly different.
Yeah.
You can use these same kinds of advanced searches in Indeed.com.
Yep.
So it's highly valuable to learn how to do this.
And this, using Boolean search on LinkedIn, I am going to, again, I've got the help page. I will post it on Facebook.
Okay. 'Cause the other day I was trying to show how to find people in your former company, and it kept saying, there isn't anybody, there isn't anybody, and I know there aren't.
There was a
Something
very
going
good
on.
article that I'm trying to find, I read about
Okay.
2 weeks ago, that was someone, a recruiter they had done all this research and figured out, oh, LinkedIn didn't exactly do Boolean search the way everybody else did.
Okay.
And this is where, you have to go find that article.
Yeah, so, and I found that I could find the recruiters more easily than I could find people that worked in a company in the past. When you start
Yep.
trying to add them in the past,
Yep.
that was difficult.
It is confusing. Yes.
Different area, recommendations. Can you look up in search, look for not search in the help box? Because as of 2 weeks ago, and at least for 4 weeks before that, recommendations was not working, which is very upsetting to me for our project teams that do
Okay.
great work.
Hold on a second, let me,
And you get into the FAQs and it says that recommendations is not working at this time. So they got a all caps worded email from me.
As I said, they've gotten a lot of those.
By the way, sometimes if you can find one recruiter, pull up that person's profile, then and over on the right side, it'll say people who looked at this person also looked at these people, and often that will tell you other recruiters. So you can bypass that irritating new search feature and connect with some other people that way.
Doesn't this feedback
If it's
on,
working now, wonderful. If it's not, I really encourage everybody to go in there because this is important to you guys in your job searches. And
Yes.
let them know that this needs to be a working part of your profile.
So when you pull up somebody now, it doesn't say, would you like to recommend this person?
It does not. I tried for one of our project members. She asked me to write her one, and
Right.
I tried to do it, and then I said, I guess it's not coming from me. You need to probably then send me a recommendation request. She couldn't do that either, so she wrote them, and then I wrote them.
Now, I
Yeah.
did send a request this morning.
Did you? Okay, so they probably fixed it as of 2
how did
weeks
you
ago.
write a recommendation?
It had, I didn't write one,
She requested one.
Because all mine, I used to have a ton of them and they're gone. They're not connected to me, or at least I can't find them anymore.
How did you do it from your own, or did you go to somebody else's and ask for a request?
No, I did it from mine.
Okay, Mark, go to your profile.
So and it said, recommendations, and then you have to type in the person to get it, and it's gotta be exact. And then I sent them a message explaining why I needed it.
Right.
Now, I don't know if they got it, but I did send it.
Yeah, I think we have to ask for.
You have to ask.
Are you saying all the recommendations that?
Asked to be recommended.
Yeah, I don't see
There
mine.
you go, good.
My old ones, I can't.
Yeah.
And following on that though, if it is working now, not everybody gets notifications from LinkedIn, especially if they're working and they just don't think about it anymore. If you happen to have that person's email address, I would also send them an
Right.
email saying that you're asking for a recommendation on
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
And also I noticed that all my past skills that had all my recommendations on it, now they're at the bottom. And when I added new skills, they're not connected.
Great.
You've got to do
Okay.
see more to even see them now.
And now you have to ask, I guess you have to ask for a recommendation.
And you have to say specifically what for.
Yes. Interesting. See, I learned something new.
Well, it's just something very upsetting to me because this is something that's the payment for our job, our
Yes.
project teams.
Yeah, you've got to ask. Now, this is one of those cases of where, if you want to ask for one, also email them saying, I just sent you a note. And again, this is where hunter.io is valuable, because if you don't know their email address, which, by the way, while we're in our profile, let's go. By the way, it's over here, and normally when you look at someone's profile, it comes up, contact, personal info, show more. That's where you have to click on this, and that's where you'll find their email address, if they've entered one, website, and other stuff. So if I go to my profile, and let's go see.
And may I add one more piece about recommendations?
Yep.
With the project teams that we do for Leap to Success, I tell the teams to send bullet points in an email to the person that they're asking the recommendation from of what they did for the project. Like if we did a website for them and it's the developer asking, they might just say, I love the website, it's great. But the developer wants somebody who's reading their profile to see, went in and worked on back end, created, HTML, et cetera. So, that's going to help you when people are looking at your profile if the person that's giving you the recommendation has some very specific things that you did for the company or that you did when you worked with them.
Now, by the way, the hero image, notice the behind at the top? Everyone has that now. Use it. Now, notice what I've got on mine.
What's the hero image?
The background.
Oh,
Okay? Now, you got to play around with it. Notice that one would say, wow, I got my email address up there and my phone number. So isn't someone going to screen scrape that? And the answer is no, it's an image. Two, I've got, for example, 2 copies of my book, 2 book covers. Again, I put my logo up there. By the way, I did this in Canva. Canva is free. You don't need Photoshop. Canva.com. I do all my graphics in Canva. Right, I should say I get my intern, my 52-year-old intern.
you did what specifically in Canva?
Built this image because it's my logo, it's my book covers. I put my and one of the things you got to play with is you got to play with the image. Some people just want to put a nice picture. I used to have a picture of me presenting to PWOW, Professional Women's of Williamson County, and it was a really good picture they took of me while I'm presenting, so I used it. But that should be a key branding point for you, because it's kind of like when we did the job fair. I had one gentleman come in who was an engineer. He was a real geek. And I mean that in a nice way. I'm a recovering geek. And the point was, his picture had an image behind him that was in the forest someplace. And I told him, I said, on your LinkedIn photo, I want the background to be geeky, to be engineering stuff. It could be a whiteboard with formulas written on it. It should represent that he's a geek. I should just be able to look at it and say, this guy's a geek. He must be really smart. Okay. Similar, I would do the same thing with your hero image. If you're a graphic artist, if you are a copywriter, if you are, project manager, stuff in back should tell me something about who you are and what you do. Okay. Anything else I should talk about? And by the way, this hero image, you need to test it out on all the platforms you can. It'll look differently on the phone than it will on an iPad, which will look different than it's on your browser. I really had to screw around with this. And by the way, it still doesn't look great because my picture now is covering up my logo.
Okay, it's almost 12 o'clock, so let's just take one question. Okay, John?
How much time should you spend doing this kind of stuff? Because it can turn to,
Okay.
the phrase digital masturbation. You can spend 8 hours a week
Yeah.
LinkedIn without going face to face.
I'm a big fan of ProBlogger. He has both a podcast and a website, ProBlogger.net. And one of the things he did a series on his podcast last year, and it was called Getting Things Off Your Someday List. And we all have these things that, well, someday I'm going to get to it. And the key piece is to focus on those things that will continue to pay off over and over and over. In other words, things that you do once and then continue to pay off. Right?
Right.
And the idea is get strategic with that.
So one of the things you mentioned first was, well, and Kathy mentioned it, was finding people in your old companies and expanding your network.
Yeah.
For me, not a big deal. I've got 1,200 contacts. I work every day 5 or 10 minutes at doing that. But for folks with 100 or 200 that need more, that might be the first thing.
One of the things I have my clientele do is always go find those old people, particularly if you have a very, I said, my one guy up in Ohio who had a PhD in math, I had him very selectively reaching out and connecting on LinkedIn and being very, very selective about who he was. But to do it, 1, 2, 3 a day and just do it every single day. I've got 2 clients who just came back from a big pharmaceutical convention. And one of the things I have them doing is, okay, every day you're going to reach out to 3 to 5 people you met at the conference. Every day for the next 10 days. Follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. And get into a pattern. But things like your hero image, do it once, get it set up right. I do it so people can go, oh, someone actually, here's a phone number up there. I can call it.
I'm working a contract gig, I just set up
Yeah.
an invoice to go. It took me a couple, 3 hours to set it up for invoicing. That was worth it though.
Yes.
So I got paid. Well, I will get paid.
Okay, any other questions? I think she wants me. One more.
When you finally do get a search that works, what I do with things that I don't do all the time, but I need to remember, I just paste it in Notepad and keep a copy of it and then just change wherever.
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
Okay, would you repeat what she said?
she said whenever she finds a search that works, she copies and pastes it into Notepad. You can do this with Evernote, Word, Excel, whatever works for you.